Action-adventure and RPG games are definitely one of the sweetest genres to develop, but they do come with their own set of difficulties that you need to take into account. It is no surprise that these two genres are my favorites. I've made 2 of them so far, and the other 2 games I've made still have RPG elements in them. So here is a question: should you make one? If we are to rate video game genres by their difficulty, action-adventure RPG would fall into the medium difficulty when it comes to development, depending on how many functionalities you put in them. So obviously, if you're looking for the easiest genre to make as your first game, I would recommend and also not recommend 2D platformer. The reason I recommend it is because it is the easiest genre to develop. And the reason I don't recommend it is because it is the least commercially interesting genre to release. So you may not be able to sell enough copies, and that might discourage you from continuing with game design. And remember, appeal is extremely important. One of the main reasons my first game succeeded, besides being the right genre, was because its appearance was immediately eye-catching. I have an entire video explaining video game genres, so go look at that one after you're done with this video. Now back to action-adventure RPG. One of the challenges of this genre is its language. These kind of games usually need a proper story to go with them, and a proper story usually comes with a lot of text, and text requires localization. And if you don't localize, you reduce your potential sales. Not to mention that managing all that text is difficult, even if you were to only do it in English. You need to come up with the text. You need to check the spelling and grammar of the text. You need to find creative ways to deliver the text. And basically, you will have to add writing into the list of many things that you will have to do. And for this reason, many action-adventure and RPG game developers are relying on environmental storytelling instead. Easier localization, less text management. The next big challenge is complexity of variables. Now this part is kinda optional. You can make a game that doesn't rely too much on variables. My first game, for example, didn't have a leveling up system, and things like critical hit chance and attack speed didn't exist. My second game, on the other hand, does have all that, and it even has side quests and other RPG related type of content. These things are hard to make, and you have to be prepared for the difficulty they present. If it's your first game, I suggest you go easy on the RPG systems, and maybe start with something simple such as find 4 hearts to increase your hearts. The more of these mechanics you add to your game, the more complex it gets and the more playtesting and balancing it needs. For example, in my second game, there are 2 builds that are super effective against the last boss, while the other builds are less effective. So if you spend all your skill points on the wrong skills, you're less likely to beat the boss. Another thing I want to touch on is character creation. People care about this function a lot more in RPG games compared to other games. For both my games, people have criticized the protagonists and requested this feature. And this feature is of course extremely difficult to implement due to the amount of work needed. I do, however, believe that if you implement this feature in your game, you will have a bit higher chance of succeeding. By the way, my game is on sale, please check it out, link in the description below. And if you already played it, please consider writing a review. Thank you.